Mission 100 Day 74 Part 1b. Readings from the Holy Bible, the Book of Job, chapter 33 through 42. Therefore, Job, hear my discourse. Listen to all my words. Behold, now I open my mouth. My tongue and voice form words. I will state directly what is in my mind. My lips shall speak knowledge clearly. For the Spirit of God made me, the breath of the Almighty keeps me alive. If you are able, refute me, draw up your arguments and take your stand. Look, I am like you before God. I too was pinched from clay. Therefore, fear of me should not dismay you, nor should I weigh heavily upon you. But you have said in my hearing, as I listened to the sound of your words, I am clean without transgression, I am innocent, there is no guilt in me. Yet he invents pretexts against me and counts me as an enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks, watches all my paths. In this you are not just, let me tell you, for God is greater than mortals. Why then do you make complaint against him, that he gives no reply to their words? For God does speak once, even twice, though you do not see it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon mortals, as they slumber in their beds, it is then he opens their ears, and with a warning terrifies them. By turning mortals from acting and keeping pride away from a man, he holds his soul from the pit, his life from passing to the grave, or he is chastened on a bed of pain, suffering continually in his bones, so that to his appetite food is repulsive. His throat rejects the choicest nourishment. His flesh is wasted, it cannot be seen. Bones once invisible appear. His soul draws near to the pit, his life to the place of the dead. If then there be a divine messenger, a mediator, one out of 1,000, to show him what is right, he will take pity on him and say, deliver him from going down to the pit, I have found him a ransom. Then his flesh shall become soft as a boy's. He shall be again as in the days of his youth. He shall pray and God will favor him. He shall see God's face with rejoicing, for he restores a person's righteousness. He shall sing before all and say, I sinned and did wrong, yet I was not punished accordingly. He delivered me from passing to the pit and my life sees light. See, all these things God does, 2 even 3 times for a man, bringing back his soul from the pit to the light in the light of the living. Be attentive, Job, listen to me, be silent and I will speak. If you have anything to say, then answer me. Speak out, I should like to see you justified. If not, then you listen to me. Be silent and I will teach you wisdom. Job chapter 34. Then Elihu answered and said, hear my discourse, you that are wise, you that have knowledge, listen to me. For the ear tests words as the palate tastes food. Let us choose what is right, let us determine among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am innocent, but God has taken away what is my right. I declare the judgment on me to be a lie. My arrow wound is incurable, sinless though I am. What man is like Job? He drinks in blasphemies like water, keeps company with evildoers, and goes along with the wicked. When he says there is no profit in pleasing God, therefore you have that understanding, hear me. Far be it from God to do wickedness, far from the Almighty to do wrong. Rather he requires mortals for their conduct, and brings home to them their way of life. Surely God cannot act wickedly. The Almighty cannot pervert justice, who gave him charge over the earth, or who set all the world in its place. If he were to set his mind to it, gather to himself his spirit and breath, all flesh would perish together, and mortals return to dust. Now you understand, hear this, listen to the words I speak. Can an enemy of justice be in control? Will you condemn the supreme just one? Who says to a king you are worthless, and to nobles you are wicked? Who neither favors the person of princes nor respects the rich more than the poor? For they are all the work of his hands. In a moment they die, even at midnight. People are shaken and pass away. The powerful are removed without lifting a hand. For his eyes are upon our ways, and all our steps he sees. There is no darkness so dense that evildoers can hide in it. For no one has God set a time to come before him in judgment. Without inquiry he shatters the mighty and appoints others in their place. Thus he discerns their works, overnight they are crushed. Where the wicked are, he strikes them in a place where all can see, because they turned away from him and did not understand his ways at all, and made the cry of the poor reach him, so that he heard the cry of the afflicted. If he is silent, who then can condemn? If he hides his face, who then can behold him? Whether nation or individual, let an impious man not rule, nor those who ensnare their people. Should anyone say to God, I accept my punishment, I will offend no more. What I cannot see, teach me. If I have done wrong, I will do so no more. Would you then say that God must punish when you are disdainful? It is you who must choose, not I. Speak therefore what you know. Those who understand will say to me, all the wise who hear my views. Job speaks without knowledge, his words make no sense. Let Job be tested to the limit, since his answers are those of the impious. For he is adding rebellion to his sin by brushing off our arguments and addressing many words to God. Job chapter 35. Then Elihu answered and said, do you think it is right to say, I am in the right, not God? When you ask what it profits you, what advantage do I have from not sinning? I have words for a reply to you and your friends as well. Look up to the skies and see, behold the heavens high above you. If you sin, what do you do to God? Even if your offenses are many, how do you affect him? If you are righteous, what do you give him? Or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness affects only someone like yourself, and your justice only a fellow human being. In great oppression, people cry out. They call for help because of the power of the great. No one says, where is God my Maker, who gives songs in the night, teaches us more than the beasts of the earth, and makes us wiser than the birds of the heavens. Though thus they cry out, he does not answer because of the pride of the wicked. But it is idle to say God does not hear, or that the Almighty does not take notice. Even though you say you take no notice of it, the case is before him with trembling wait upon him. But now that you have done otherwise, God's anger punishes. Not as he show much concern over a life, yet Job to no purpose opens his mouth, multiplying words without knowledge. Chapter 35. Chapter 36. Elihu continued and said, wait a little and I will instruct you, for there are still words to be said for God. I will assemble arguments from afar, and for my Maker I will establish what is right. For indeed my words are not a lie. One perfect in knowledge is before you. Look, God is great, not disdainful. His strength of purpose is great. He does not preserve the life of the wicked. He establishes the right of the poor. He does not divert his eyes from the just, but he seats them upon thrones, with kings exalted forever. If they are bound with fetters, held fast by bonds of affliction, he lets them know what they have done and how arrogant are their sins. He opens their ears to correction and tells them to turn back from evil. If they listen and serve him, they spend their days in prosperity, their years in happiness. But if they do not listen, they pass to the grave. They perish for lack of knowledge. The impious in heart lay up anger. They do not cry for help when he binds them. They will die young, their life among the reprobate. But he saves the afflicted through their affliction, and opens their ears through oppression. He entices you from distress to a broad place without constraint. What rests on your table is rich food, though you are full of the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice will be maintained. Let not anger and abundance entice you, nor great bribery lead you astray. Will your wealth equip you against distress, or all your exertions of strength? Do not long for the night when peoples vanish in their place. Be careful, do not turn to evil, for this you have preferred to affliction. Look, God is exalted in his power. What teacher is there like him, who prescribes for him his way, who says you have done wrong, Remember, you should extol his work, which people have praised in song. All humankind beholds it, everyone views it from afar. See, God is great beyond our knowledge, the number of his years past searching out. He holds in check the water drops that filter in rain from his flood, till the clouds flow with them and they rain down on all humankind. Can anyone understand the spreading clouds, the thunderings from his tent? Look, he spreads his light over it, it covers the roots of the sea. For by these he judges the nations and gives food in abundance. In his hands he holds the lightning, and he commands it to strike the mark. His thunder announces him, and incites the fury of the storm. Job chapter 37. At this my heart trembles and leaps out of its place. Listen to his angry voice, and the rumble that comes forth from his mouth. Everywhere under the heavens he sends it, with his light to the ends of the earth. Again his voice roars, his majestic voice thunders. He does not restrain them when his voice is heard. God thunders forth marvels with his voice. He does great things beyond our knowing. He says to the snow, fall to the earth. Likewise to his heavy drenching rain. He shuts up all humankind indoors so that all people may know his work. The wild beasts take to cover and remain quiet in their dens. Out of its chamber the tempest comes forth, from the north winds the cold. With his breath God brings the frost, and the broad waters congeal. The clouds too are laden with moisture, the storm clouds scatters its light. He it is who changes their rounds according to his plans, to all that he commands to do all that he commands them across the inhabited world. Whether for punishment or mercy he makes it happen. Listen to this, Job. Stand and consider the marvels of God. Do you know how God lays his command upon them and makes the light shine forth from his clouds? Do you know how the clouds are banked, the marvels of him who is perfect in knowledge? You who swelter in your clothes when calm lies over the land from the south. Can you with him spread out the firmament of the skies hard as a molten mirror? Teach us then what we shall say to him. We cannot for the darkness make our plea. Will he be told about it when I speak? Can anyone talk when he is being destroyed? Rather, it is as the light that cannot be seen, while it is obscured by the clouds till the wind comes by and sweeps them away. From Zaphon the golden splendor comes, surrounding God's awesome majesty. The Almighty, we cannot find him. Preeminent in power and judgment, abundant in justice, who never oppresses. Therefore people fear him. None can see him, however wise their hearts. Job chapter 38. The Lord and Job meet. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm and said, who is this who darkens counsel with words of ignorance? Gird up your loins now like a man. I will question you and you tell me the answers. Where were you when I founded the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its size? Surely you know. Who stretched out the measuring line for it? Into what were its pedestals sunk? And who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy, who shut within doors the sea, and when it burst forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling band, when I set limits for it, and fastened the bar of its door, and said, thus far shall you come, but no farther, and here shall your proud wave stop. Have you ever in your lifetime commanded the morning and shown the dawn its place, for taking hold of the ends of the earth till the wicked are shaken from it? The earth is changed as clay by the seal and dyed like a garment. But from the wicked the light is withheld, and the arm of pride is shattered. Have you entered into the sources of the sea, or walked about on the bottom of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you, or have you seen the gates of darkness? Have you comprehended the breadth of the earth? Tell me if you know it all. What is the way to the dwelling of light, and darkness where is its place? That you may take it to its territory and know the paths to its home. You know because you were born then, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow and seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for times of distress, for a day of war and battle? What is the way to the parting of the winds, where the east winds spreads over the earth, who has laid out a channel for the downpour and a path for the thunderstorm, to bring rain to uninhabited land, the unpeopled wilderness, to drench the desolate wasteland till the desert blooms with verdure. Has the rain a father who has begotten the drops of dew, out of whose womb comes the ice, and who gives the hoarfrost its birth in the skies? When the waters lie covered as though with stone that holds captive the surface of the deep, have you tied cords to the Pleiades or loosened the bonds of Orion? Can you bring forth the Mazzaroth in their season, or guide the bear with her children? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you put into effect their plan on the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds for them to cover you with the deluge of waters? Can you send forth lightnings on their way so that they say to you, here we are? Who gives wisdom to the ibis and gives the rooster understanding? Who counts the clouds with wisdom? Who tills the water jars of heaven, so that the dust of earth is fused into a mass, and its clods stick together? Do you hunt the prey for the lion, or appease the hunger of young lions, while they crouch in their dens or lie in ambush in the thicket? Who provides nourishment for the raven when its young cry out to God, wandering about without food? Chapter 39. Do you know when mountain goats are born, or watch for the birth pangs of deer? Number the months that they must fulfill, or know when they give birth, when they crouch down and drop their young, when they deliver their progeny. Their offspring thrive and grow in the open, they leave and do not return. Who has given the wild donkey his freedom, and who has loosed the wild ass from bonds? I have made the wilderness his home, and the salt flats his dwelling. He scoffs at the uproar of the city, hears no shouts of a driver. He ranges the mountains for pasture and seeks out every patch of green. Will the wild ox consent to serve you, or pass the nights at your manger? Will you bind the wild ox with a rope in the furrow, and will he plough the valleys after you? Will you depend on him for his great strength, and leave to him the fruit of your toil, the yield of your threshing floor? The wings of the ostrich flap away, her plumage is lacking in feathers. When she abandons her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the sand, she forgets that a foot may crush them, that the wild beast may trample them. She cruelly disowns her young, and her labor is useless. She has no fear. For God has withheld wisdom from her and given her no share in understanding. Yet when she spreads her wings high, she laughs at a horse and rider. Do you give the horse his strength and clothe his neck with a mane? Do you make him quiver like a locust, while his thunderous snorting spreads terror? He paws the valley, he rejoices in his strength and charges into battle. He laughs at fear and cannot be terrified. He does not retreat from the sword. Around him rattles the quiver, flashes the spear and the javelin. Frenzied and trembling, he devours the ground. He does not hold back at the sound of the trumpet. At the trumpet's call he cries, aha! Even from afar he scents the battle, the roar of the officers and the shouting. It is by your understanding that the hawk soars. He spreads his wings toward the south. Does the eagle fly up at your command to build his nest up high? On a cliff he dwells and spends the night on the spur of cliff or fortress. From there he watches for his food, his eyes behold it afar off. His young ones greedily drink blood. Where the slain are, there he is. Chapter 40. The Lord then answered Job and said, will one who argues with the Almighty be corrected? Let him who would instruct God give an answer. Then Job answered the Lord and said, look, I am of little account. What can I answer you? I put my hand over my mouth. I have spoken once, I will not reply. Twice, but I will do so no more. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm and said, gird up your loins now like a man. I will question you and you tell me the answers. Would you refuse to acknowledge my right? Would you condemn me that you may be justified? Have you an arm like that of God, or can you thunder with a voice like his? Adorn yourself with grandeur and majesty, and clothe yourself with glory and splendor. Let loose the fury of your wrath. Look at everyone who is proud and bring them down. Look at everyone who is proud and humble them. Tear down the wicked in their place, bury them in the dust together in the hidden world, imprison them. Then will I too praise you, for your own right hand can save. Look at Behemoth, whom I made along with you, who feeds on grass like an ox. See the strength in his loins, the power in the sinews of his belly. He carries his tail like a cedar, the sinews of his thighs are like cables. His bones are like tubes of bronze, his limbs are like iron rods. He is the first of God's ways, only his maker can approach him with a sword. For the mountains bring him produce, and all wild animals make sport there. Under lotus trees he lies, in coverts of the reedy swamp. The lotus trees cover him with their shade. All about him are the poplars in the wadi. If the river grows violent, he is not disturbed. He is tranquil, though the Jordan surges about his mouth. Who can capture him by his eyes or pierce his nose with a trap? Can you lead Leviathan about with a hook, or tie down his tongue with a rope? Can you put a ring into his nose, or pierce through his cheek with a gaff? Will he then plead with you time after time, or address you with tender words? Will he make a covenant with you that you may have him as a slave forever? Can you play with him as with a bird? Can you tie him up for your little girls? Will the traders bargain for him? Will the merchants divide him up? Can you fill his hide with barbs or his head with fish spears? Once you but lay a hand upon him, no need to recall any other conflict. Chapter 41. Whoever might vainly hope to do so need only see him to be overthrown. No one is fierce enough to arouse him. Who then dares stand before me? Whoever has assailed me, I will pay back. Everything under the heavens is mine. I need hardly mention his limbs, his strength and the fitness of his equipment. Who can strip off his outer garment or penetrate his double armor? Who can force open the doors of his face, close to his terrible teeth? Rows of scales are on his back, tightly sealed together. They are fitted so close to each other that no air can come between them, so joined to one another that they hold fast and cannot be parted. When he sneezes, light flashes forth. His eyes are like the eyelids of the dawn. Out of his mouth go forth torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. From his nostrils comes smoke as from a seething pot or bowl. His breath sets coals afire. A flame comes from his mouth. Strength abides in his neck, and power leaps before him. The folds of his flesh stick together. It is cast over him and immovable. His heart is cast as hard as stone, cast as the lower millstone. When he rises up, the gods are afraid. When he crashes down, they fall back. Should a sword reach him, it will not avail, nor will spear, dart, or javelin. He regards iron as chaff and bronze as rotten wood. No arrow will put him to flight. Sling stones used against him are but straw. Clubs he regards as straw. He laughs at the crash of the spear. Under him are sharp pottery fragments, spreading a threshold sledge upon the mire. He makes the depths boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a perfume bottle. Behind him he leaves a shining path. You would think the deep had white hair. Upon the earth there is none like him. He was made fearless. He looks over all who are haughty. He is king over all proud beasts. Job chapter 42. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be hindered. Who is this who obscures counsel with ignorance? I have spoken but did not understand, things too marvelous for me which I did not know. Listen, and I will speak. I will question you, and you tell me the answers. By hearsay I had heard of you, but now my eye has seen you. Therefore I disown what I have said, and repent in dust and ashes. Epilogue. Job's restoration. And after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My anger blazes against you and your two friends. You have not spoken rightly concerning me, as has my servant Job. So now take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and sacrifice a burnt offering for yourselves, and let my servant Job pray for you. To him I will show favor and not punish your folly, for you have not spoken rightly concerning me, as has my servant Job. Then Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did as the Lord had commanded them. The Lord showed favor to Job. The Lord also restored the prosperity of Job after he had prayed for his friends. The Lord even gave to Job twice as much as he had before. Then all his brothers and sisters came to him and all his former acquaintances, and they dined with him in his house. They consoled him and comforted him for all the evil the Lord had brought upon him, and each one gave him a piece of money and a gold ring. Thus the Lord blessed the later days of Job more than his earlier ones. Now he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. The first daughter he called Jemimah, the second Keziah, and the third Keren-Hapuk. In all the land no other women were as beautiful as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. After this Job lived 140 years, and he saw his children, his grandchildren, and even his great-grandchildren. Then Job died old and full of years. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.